Welcome back, everyone, to the Bears Profit Plays YouTube channel. Today is Saturday, September 13th, and I'm back breaking down a loaded slate of games on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. I have a total of 8 game picks, and we're going to be breaking down 3 total player props, 11 plays in total. We've got a lot to discuss. We've got a lot of football to talk about. Hopefully, we can have ourselves a good day here. If you guys enjoy the content, please sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel below. Hope everybody enjoys their Saturday, and let's break down some ball. All right, guys, let's get in this recap from Friday night. Game is still going on 31-7 right now, but Arizona, first drive, right down Kansas State throat. Thought we had something going there, but Arizona, after the first drive, they looked horrible. No Fafita, too many bad passes, too many interceptions. Kansas State made it 14-7 off a punt return, special teams touchdown. So Arizona just looked really bad tonight. Ricky White, only 4 yards. He got hit in the chest about 4 times down the field, but he dropped all 4 of them. Kansas was pretty good in the secondary, I guess you can say, but UNLV takes the win there. Devin Neal, over 101.5 rushing yards. He had 99 at the half, had it in the first carry coming out of the second half. And then Noah Fafita, he obviously did not go over 1.5 passing touchdowns because Arizona has 7 points right now. So not a very good day on Friday night. Here's the leaderboard. 0-1 game pick, 1-2 in the player props, 1 game above 500. We've got to have a monster Saturday today. And we're going to start with this game here. We got a lot of plays today. I'm going to try very hard to make them 1 minute per breakdown. We got a lot of football to talk about. It may not seem like I'm going into great detail because I'm really not, but we've got to talk about a lot of football here, trying to make this video 10 to 12 minutes long. We have 4 plays for the graphics side. Then we have the 3 player props. Then 4 more plays I'm going to be breaking down after those player props. So let's get into it. Alabama going up against Wisconsin here. I'm taking Wisconsin in this game, plus 16.5 at Camp Randall. I do wish this was a night game for Wisconsin. I think it'd be a little bit more confident with this play if I can lay the if I can have the 16 points with Wisconsin at night, but I can't lay 17 points here with Alabama. Alabama's clearly the better team. Wisconsin, they haven't looked great in the first 2 games, even though they've been able to come away with the wins. They have not looked very good. Alabama also didn't look very good going up against South Florida. They were in a game till the fourth quarter. It was 14-13. It was a little bit of home cooking for Alabama and the referee crew for the majority of that fourth quarter. Alabama all game long. The penalties, they were killing them in the fourth quarter, though. The luck of the penalties kind of shifted the other way. They did win the game 42-16, but that score does not reflect how they played. Wisconsin, they did win both of their games going up against South Dakota and Western Michigan. 2 teams they should have beat, 2 teams they did beat, but if you look at the numbers, if you watch the games, they didn't look very good. But I'm going to take the points here in this one. Wisconsin, I really think they can muck this game up. They want to be able to run the ball. They want to be able to stop Jalen Miller from throwing the ball deep down the field. I think the defense up front for Wisconsin can be the difference maker in this game. Get some pressure on Jalen up front. Play a clean game. No penalties. Let Alabama kill themselves. I'm also not in love with Tyler Van Dyke. He's not looked very good so far for Wisconsin, but I'm going to trust Wisconsin here at home. Too many points, plus 16.5 is the play. Final score, 29-20. Hopefully a defensive battle in that game. For the next play, we're going to be looking at Boston College going up against Missouri. 2 top 25 teams here. Number 6 in the country, Missouri, led by Brady Cook, Luther Bird on that offensive side. I'm going to take the over in this game, 53.5 points, and I do think Missouri is going to cover the spread, but I'm not going to be betting against Boston College right now. They seem like a very frisky team. They've got a really good quarterback in Castellanos. They've got a really good running game. They've also got a really good head coach, NFL head coach for the Texans. Bill O'Brien is now the head coach there. I think both these teams score a lot of points, but the only reason I'm not taking Boston College to cover the big number because Missouri on the defensive side, 2 pitch shutouts so far. We haven't seen Brady Cook have any good games really so far because he hasn't had to throw the ball down the field in a lot of these games. The Missouri defense has allowed 0 total points. They took care of the inferior opponents. They won by 50-plus points, 38 points against Buffalo. So if you want a side, I'd lean towards Missouri, but I think it's a little bit too big of a number for Missouri to cover for me to be comfortable. I think we're going to see the passing attack, though, for Missouri open up in this game. Give me the over 53.5 points. Final score, 20-41 in favor of Missouri. For the next play, we're going to be looking at the Civil War matchup between Oregon and Oregon State. Apparently, we can't call that anymore because we're kind of soft. This is football, but it is what it is. Can't call it that more. This is not called any rivalry game anymore. It doesn't have like a catchphrase for it, but it is a rivalry game. I think we're going to see Oregon kick some ass in this one against Oregon State. Everybody's been worried about Oregon over the last couple games, and for good reason, especially the first game. They looked like crap going up against Idaho. Idaho, they're a frisky team. They were running all kinds of trick plays in that game, but Boise State is a very good team. They've got a shot at the playoffs if they run the table there. That's a really good team. They were led by one of the best running backs in the country last week. He's probably going to be in the NFL. But Dylan Gabriel and the Oregon Ducks, they've been putting a lot of yards on the board. They haven't been turning all those yards into points. I think we're going to see that change in this game. I will give you that they were sluggish, but this Oregon team, they can put up a lot of points in a hurry. I don't think Oregon State can do the same. Oregon State is going to want to try to run the football in this game. I don't think that's going to be possible going up against Oregon front four. They are very good defensively up front. Last season, they took this matchup by 24 points. This season, spread 16. That seems like it's way too high for the way Oregon's been playing over the last couple games. I think the book is begging us to take Oregon State. So give me Oregon here. I think they're the way better team. Minus 16.5, 37-14 final score. For the last play on the graphic side, we're going to be looking at the Apple Cup between Washington and Washington State. Both these teams start off with 2 wins, and Washington State in their last game going up against Texas Tech, they looked really good, especially on the ground against the Red Raiders. I'm a little bit concerned, though, for Washington State in this game because it doesn't take a whole lot to put up a lot of yards and points on Texas Tech. I believe their quarterback, John Mater, didn't have any passing touchdowns in that game. He might have had 1 passing touchdown, but he did have over 200 rushing yards on the ground against Texas Tech. The team had a total of 301 rushing yards in that game, but the Huskies, they're a little bit different of a defense than Texas Tech. They're not going to be able to run all over them. They have one of the best linebacker corps in college football this season, in my opinion. We saw them combine for 86 tackles last season. They've got a 6th-year guy here and at the linebacker position for Washington. This is going to be a rivalry matchup. Usually I would go with the points in a rivalry game, but I did take Oregon. That's definitely a rivalry matchup. I'm going to take the Huskies in this game. -5 is the play. The Washington defense is led by that front four and the linebacker core. I just don't see any way Washington State runs all over the Huskies. I'm sure that they saw the film on Washington State last week. They realized that they like to run the ball. They're going to try to stop the ground game first. I think they're going to try to force John, the quarterback for Washington State, to do it with his arm in this game, and I think he can do it. But at the same time, we have seen him struggle just a little bit with that arm talent, especially going up against Texas Tech. This is also his first year as a starter. This is his first year in this type of rivalry game. I think we're just going to see that Huskies defense stand tall time and time again. Washington also has Will Rogers in his first year with the team. He's been really good over the first 2 games. 500-plus yards, 5 touchdowns. First rivalry game as well going up against Washington State, but I do trust that defense a little bit more behind him than I do with Washington State. So give me Washington in this game. -5, 34-24 final score there. Let's go take a look at some player props. For the player props on Saturday, we're going to be looking at Utah going up against Utah State first. Cam Rising, the quarterback for Utah. The injury bug continues to haunt him. He had what looks like maybe a broken finger, maybe a broken hand. Might have avoided serious injury, but it looks like he's not going to be playing in this game against Utah State. They don't need him in this game. They can just hand the ball off to Bernard 20-plus times. They can get the job done. I'm taking his over rushing yards this game. We have 2 of the 3 player props, though, that I'm going to be breaking down that the player props are not out, and that is confusing because it is 10 p.m. on Friday night. But this one is one of them. I'm going to take the over rushing yards, whatever it comes out at. Utah State on the season, they've given up 548 total yards per game. 253 of those yards have come from the ground. If you watched Utah last week, whenever Cam Rising went out of the game and they went to the running game against Baylor, I think they're going to do the exact same thing here against Utah State. Last week, Micah, he finished with 19 carries, 118 yards, 1 touchdown. He's going to do the exact same thing in this game. For the next play, we're going to be looking at the quarterback out of East Carolina. Give me Jake Garcia to go over total passing yards against App State. App State this season, they just got absolutely torched by Clemson. Now they're giving up 460 passing yards per game. Now they have to welcome in Jake Garcia, who is a very talented gunslinger, highly recruited, went to Missouri, went to Miami. Now he's here at East Carolina. Jake Garcia on this season, first game, threw for 380 yards, 36 attempts. In the second game, 283 yards, 38 attempts. So East Carolina, they want to throw the ball in this game, especially since App State is giving up 460 yards per game. We're just looking at passing yards because he's had seven. That wasn't me missing anything up. 7 interceptions in the first 2 games, having 3 against Norfolk, 4 interceptions against Old Dominion. But again, he's got nearly 600 passing yards in the season. This guy's not going to stop throwing the ball anytime soon. If he didn't stop throwing the ball after 4 interceptions going up against Old Dominion, he's not going to stop throwing the ball after 5 interceptions going up against App State. So let's just take the passing yards here over whatever it comes out at as the play. For the final player prop, we're looking at Tulsa. We're going to take Camden Benjamin of Tulsa to go over 67.5 receiving yards against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has found themselves in a bad situation with this defense once again in the Big 12, giving up 648 yards per game, 416 of those yards coming through the air per game. We're taking the over 67.5 receiving yards for the best receiver in this score for Tulsa. He's coming off a 6-catch, 131-yard game in his last one. He's going to do the exact same thing here. The quarterback for Tulsa, Kirk Francis, he's thrown for 500 yards this season, having 300 yards in the first game, 200 in the second game, 5 total touchdowns. He looks like he can sling the ball a little bit against Oklahoma State here. Give me Camden Benjamin to go over his total yards as the play there. Let's go over to these recap graphics and the other games. We have 4 more games to talk about, starting with Colorado going up against Colorado State. These are going to be a little bit faster. Colorado, I'm not impressed with this team. I wasn't impressed last season. Colorado State last season should have beat them. They might beat them this season. Colorado, they're a dumpster fire. Shador Sanders throwing his lineman under the bus. That was insane. Kid's got a lot of talent. He's got no leadership whatsoever. Colorado's going to continue to struggle as long as this guy's a starting quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. You can have all the talent in the world, but your teammates, if they don't have your back, you're nothing. You're not going to succeed. That was a crazy shot that he took at the offensive lineman in that press conference. Even if it was their fault, you got to keep that in the locker room. This game is going to go one of two ways. First one, Colorado comes together as a team. They kill Colorado State. Second one, they let Colorado State hang in there. Shador Sanders gets sacks. He gives up. They might even lose the game. I'm going to take the points here. I'm going to take the latter of those two options. Give me Colorado State here, plus 7.5 is the play. For the next play, we have Georgia, the best team in the country, without a doubt, the number one team in the country. Texas giving them a run for their money, going up against Kentucky, who just lost to South Carolina by 25-plus points. This is possibly the play of the day for myself. I'm taking Georgia minus 22.5. Georgia, they also had one of their cornerbacks arrested yesterday for speeding. So this team, even in week 3, they're in midseason form. They're ready for the playoffs. They're feeling themselves with another arrest for speeding on this team. They can't do anything wrong. Kentucky, they looked horrible going up against South Carolina. I don't think South Carolina is even that good. This should be a beatdown. Minus 22.5 for Georgia. For the next play, we have the worst team in the country. After I just talked about the best team in the country, we have Kent State, who is by far the worst team in the country, going up against Tennessee, who has not performed very well over the last couple games, even in these massive wins. Tennessee, they just dominated NC State. I think they put up 49 points. They might even put up 50-plus points against them. NC State, they only scored 10 against that defense. One was on a pick 6. We haven't even seen the best out of Tennessee yet. I think Nico hasn't even played his best game. This is going to be an extremely ugly game. Tennessee, they might be up by 50 points at the half against Kent State. I don't see any way Kent State's going to stop Nico. It's going to be touchdown drive after touchdown drive, one play, two play touchdown drives. Kent State 3 and out every single time. This is going to be ugly. Tennessee minus 49.5 is the play. And finally, the last play of the day, Vanderbilt going up against Georgia State. Vanderbilt, they were really good to me in week number 1. We had them plus 7.5. We sprinkled them on the money line. They did win the game outright going up against Virginia Tech in overtime, but Diego Pavia, he's the man at quarterback position there at Vanderbilt. Now, I think Vanderbilt can be explosive on the offensive end. They might score 45-plus points by themselves in this game, taking the over 46.5 points. Georgia State allowed 21 points to Chattanooga. They put up 24 themselves, so Georgia State might be able to score a couple touchdowns against Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt, they've looked really good this season so far. Diego Pavia is leading this team. 34 points against Virginia Tech, 55 against Alcorn State. Again, they might score 45-plus points by themselves. Give me the over 45.5 as the play. We should probably just take Vanderbilt on the spread there, but let's take the over. I really like Vanderbilt there. Let's go over to the recap graphic now. A lot of games here. Wisconsin plus 16.5. The over in the Missouri game, 53.5. Oregon minus 16.5 against Oregon State. Washington, Apple Cup, minus 5 against Washington State. Colorado State, plus 7.5. Colorado. Georgia, minus 22.5 against Kentucky. Blowout. Tennessee, blowout, minus 49.5. And then the over 45.5, Vanderbilt, Georgia State. We then have Micah Bernard, over his total rushing yards against Utah State. Jake Garcia, over his passing yards against App State. Again, both those plays have not come out yet. I'm going to take them whenever they come out at. And then Camden Benjamin, over 6.5 yards for Tulsa, going up against Oklahoma State. Guys, that's going to do it for the NCAA football plays and props for Saturday, September 14th slated games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please share, drop a comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.